Greetings, Patrick here, Eight Questions With, and welcome to the show. Glad you guys are here, ready to rock and roll once again uh, with another fantastic one. Tonight we have as our special guest our favorite, one of our favorite YouTubers for sure, horror tubers, the mighty DeRae, also known as rainbowFRIGHT. Who has she has the coolest one of the coolest channels, and definitely one of the better vocals around too. If she ever wanted to read, read book, audio books, I dare say she would easily get hired by anybody. If she ever submitted herself to that, I could definitely see some book company calling her up there and saying, yes, publisher, come up there and saying, yes, come talk to us. Uh, she's definitely got one of those type of talented voices to do that. But tonight we're going to be talking with her about we'll catch up on her channel, some of the cool things that she's doing. We'll talk a little future films coming up. We're both very excited to see Heretic uh, and whatever else that crosses our boat or our bow, so to speak, crossing the T. Um, we'll just talk about it then. This is going to be less of an interview per se, like a formal interview, more than it is just a couple of friends just catching up, and hopefully you'll come on in and be very entertained. Of course, if you have questions you want to ask DeRae, by all means, please do so. Any questions about her channel, about her content, how she, I might get into that a little bit, like how does she come up with some of her series. Um, I definitely like the make and remake series that she has currently going on. She gets guests to come on there and they talk about a movie, the original movie, and then the remake of that movie. And a lot of times you discover there's so much difference, even though they're the same title per se, the same characters and whatnot, but there's a lot of difference. We were talking about that yesterday a little bit when we were doing our push for Ginja Ninja. We were talking a little bit, and also with Matt, we were talking too with remakes. We're talking about Bewitched, um, and how how they could play things a little differently. It doesn't have to be a shot for shot, you know, uh, um, like Stepford Wives. Stepford Wives was a lot more darker for the original one, and a lot less darker the first one was really dark. The second one was much lighter. It was more of a comedy. I mean, it had some elements into it, but not very many, and it was play for laughs. The first one, on the other hand, was very serious and disturbing, very disturbing film. But of course, it's a '70s movie, right? And we all know about the '70s. It didn't meet a sad ending that it didn't like. Hey, Anthony, how are you? Says here, Anthony is now having foot problems. Uh-oh. Well, you might need to get new shoes. That's probably that will help you out. Your shoes probably you're going to need to replace your shoes quite a bit, Anthony. Working at a hotel, probably have to replace them like once every 6 months. I know we had to do that at the Home Depot. You couldn't wear shoes for very long, and you knew once you started having problems, that meant the rubber, the cushion had worn out. Well, the Yankees will be playing tonight for their lives in the World Series. Down 3 games to none. Has pitched well enough to win all the games with a little bit of proper management. Um, they have pitched well enough to win, but they have not hit well enough to win. And they say good pitching beats good hitting. Hey, there he is. Ninja is here. And we today we did waffles today. We're gonna be going back with Ninja here. We're gonna bring some fresh faces into the chat, and we're gonna go ahead and push our good friend Jason here up to 1,000 subs. That is gonna happen. We are gonna make it our mission to do so. We're on a mission from God. Yeah, why not, right? Why the hell not? Uh, And I got to get your address, Jason, off of Instagram. You got to send me your address. I got something that's being sent your way, so I will contact you as soon as this interview is over and get your address. Or if you could just send it to me, if you could send me your address through Instagram, so I could forward it on there. Forward it forward. Yeah, I got. We're gonna send you a little something. All right. So, what's going on for the rest of the week? We only have two more shows. Well, first of all, I guess we should give a shout out to our good friend JT from JT's Horror Discussions. He had Jeffrey Reddick on his show today, and for an interview. And Jeffrey Reddick is one of the brains behind the Final Destination franchise. So, JT and Jeffrey talked about the creation of the franchise. It was really good show, real good show. Um, and it was, they're talking about how Tony Todd got involved with the project, and Jeffrey mentioned how important he was, and very important that, and as far as having him come back, I'm with him on that. I think you're going to bring back if you're going to redo Final Destination, you got to bring back Tony Todd for for it. As long as he's physically able to do the part, I think he needs to be in every single. I mean, he doesn't have to do any physical work. I mean, that's the good thing about it. The role is because Tony Todd, I think, is 76 now, so we're not expecting him to go out there and be rambunctious like Candyman. All he has to do is just be Tony Todd, right? Um, because he's got those vocals too. He's got one of those voices that, like, as soon as you hear it, you know who he is. Sort of like our guest tonight, Rainbow. As soon as you hear her talk, you instantly know who it is. It's rainbowFRIGHT. Um, and so like Morgan Freeman, James Earl Jones, one of those very distinct voices that when you hear it, Sylvester Stallone. He's As soon as you hear him talk, as soon as he opens his mouth and talks, you know who it is, right? So they were saying how important it was to get Tony Todd to come into the remake, which I think is being made by Radio Silence. Um, Interesting. It's an interesting choice to redo it. Yeah, I mean they got some chops. I'm a little surprised they're doing it, but yeah, they got some chops. And so we'll see what happens. I think it'll probably be released later on in 2025. Um, so I don't. That's not a remake. I think they're calling it a soft reboot. But from what I understand, I think they're still going to continue it. They're not going to go back and start it all over again. I think they're just going to pick up from one of the movies. I don't know which one. And it was really interesting to hear about how some of the characters they weren't supposed to die. That's what caught me most by surprise. It's like, yeah, I didn't want to kill this person, but uh, you know, when another star that was supposed to be in the movie couldn't do it, um, it sort of threw things into a little bit of a wash machine, and they end up killing a character that he did not want to die. So I guess I guess that's an interesting question to ask directors or writers. Like, what do you do? Let's say that you do. Let's say you do. I know that. I know that during some of the Friday the 13th movies, like the rule of thumb in horror movies are, you have to have a kill every 8 minutes. It's about that, right? So what happens if you do run a little short? Um, of course, with Final Destination, that's easy. I mean, that's one of the easiest things is to, you know, 'cause everything affects everybody down it deserves the ripple in time. So you could have up to like a race car or a bridge crash and get tons of potential victims. But what happens when you do have a smaller movie, a slasher movie, and you do have, like, you wrote it out and you have, like, okay, I'm going to have the two main people survive, but all of a sudden you come up a kill short, and all of a sudden you have to go back to one of those two people and say, well, short of rewriting all this, we're gonna have to kill one of your characters. We're gonna have to kill one of you off. That would be sort of tough, especially if you're You know, because I mean, come on, seriously. I mean, some people love to be killed on screen, but there's some that don't. I mean, there's some that there's some that are they like being the hero, they like being the survivor. You know, like they do. Um, and so to come up there at the last minute and sit there and say, yeah, so we're gonna need to have the clown kill you. Uh, uh, really? Can we flip a coin for it? What's going on, brother Max? What's going on? All right. Let's see. I think my it's funny that me and JT were also talking about we were talking about StreamYard. StreamYard is raising their prices, it has raised their prices. And it's sort of funny. It's like they've raised their prices and all of a sudden now we're seeing more glitches. Uh Hey Stephen, how are you? We are doing fine. We're going to be talking to our good friend DeRae here in a few minutes. Rainbow Fright, and we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking a little what's coming up. Um, she is a big A24 fan, as are a lot of people. But we both have that in common that we really can't wait to see. We really can't wait to see Heretic, and we're going to talk a little bit about some actors playing against type. You know, uh, um, Hugh Grant is playing a he is playing a crazy guy in Heretic, and that is going against everything that we know um, about Hugh Grant. With the roles he's playing in, he always plays the romantic lead, the nice guy, the guy, the dapper dress guy. We've never seen him play like a bad guy role. He's never been a bad guy. So he interesting. I think we're going to talk about that, and I looked up some actors too. Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it? Uh, yeah, Carolyn. Well, yeah, that will be a good show tomorrow night. Uh, yeah, that will be very cool. He's worried about the connection because, and this is true. I mean, of all the glitches that we have here doing this show live, the one place that it is a hell to pay sometimes is when we have to go and do a show from Los Angeles because for some reason, and I really couldn't tell you why. Maybe just and it's not because it's a big city because we've talked to people we've talked to people from Chicago and New York and Dallas, and those are big cities too. But we never have the glitch like we do every time we go to Los Angeles. That's a pain in the ass, and that is out of our range. We can't control that per se. So when we have a glitch, whenever we talk to a guest from Los Angeles, we just have to grin and bear it. Uh, but I'm sure the show will be fine tomorrow. Hopefully everybody will show up for that one. Hopefully that will be that'll be a really good interesting interview. And of course, I'm sure everybody's going to be going over there and asking Carolyn about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Personally, if I went over there and I was going to talk to her, I'd probably be asking her about Sharknado, but that's just me. Uh, all right, our guest is here. The doorbell has rang, and I see a little stardust falling. All right, boppers, let's get ready. I was always want to say that around her. I don't know why that is. Uh, all right, boppers, get ready because here she comes. DeRae, also known as Rainbow Fright. Oops, come on, are you there? Okay,
Hello,
I see.
hello.
See, even StreamYard's glitching on me. And yeah, and you're not even in LA. We're just talking about StreamYard and the glitches that we have whenever we do a live and we have to talk to someone in Los Angeles. For some reason, we always have if we have problems, it's always from LA, and
Dang it.
it's remarkable to me because LA, like one of the most advanced cities in tech and everything, and you think the reception would be easy, but
Yeah.
it's not.
There's too many people over there clogging up the
Yeah,
airways.
that's right. Moved to Colorado already.
Yeah. Actually, no, it's okay.
Oh,
Stay away.
that's right. See, all you need now is kind of PSA going like, you're thinking about moving from Colorado from California. Well, let me tell you, boppers, don't do it.
Well, I don't want to sound like everybody else. So if you want to come, come. But
Well, the thing is, though, there is nobody else. You got one of those. You got like you have the female version of James Earl Jones saying, "The force is not here. This is not the droid you're looking for. This is this is not where you want to move to." So, yeah,
yeah.
go to Texas, uh,
I
full
mean,
of villainy and scum.
I don't want to inflict that on them either. I left there
Mm.
for a reason.
Did you come from Texas?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was
Wow.
born.
So why
Hmm.
Colorado? Why Colorado? Why didn't I thought Texas was the state to be everybody to be moving to? So why did you unhitch your wagon and head to Colorado?
Well, yeah, so I was born and raised in San Antonio, and then I was in Austin for about a decade because I went to college there. And then, actually, after college, I moved to LA for a year, but then came back to Texas or went back to Texas. And then, and that's where I met Brandon. And then when COVID hit, we ended up moving to Harlingen, Texas, which is like 30 minutes north of the Mexican border, because he found a tech school to go there. We both had to pivot once the pandemic hit, and going back to school was his thing. Starting YouTube was mine. And then after a year down there in Harlingen, we moved back to San Antonio for a year. But then with his job, he just was moving up pretty quickly and ended up gaining some clients here in Denver. And then that's why he moved here, was for his job. But since then, he's switched jobs, but he's able to
Oh,
work remotely, so we can stay here.
he switched a job within the company, or did he have to get a new job?
Yeah, he switched companies.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
He got recruited.
Basically, yeah,
Yeah.
there was just too
Mm.
much going on at that last company. He liked the people he was working with, but the higher ups just didn't have their shit together. So he needed a little bit more organization.
Yes, yes, I can understand that. I really
Hmm.
truly can. Sometimes the company will grow too fast, and they really can't. They don't know how to handle it. It's a
You're
good
exactly
thing
right.
on
Hmm.
paper. On paper, it's like this is awesome. We're growing, or you're expanding, but how do I manage that? I don't know how to manage that. I mean, here we are operating on off $1 million, and next thing you know, we're being operated off of $10 million. And I have no idea how that happened, when it happened, and how it happened. So,
Yes.
uh, so, but are you now doing YouTube full time? Because you're
Yes.
monetized, and you have memberships, and you have all Patreon and all that good jazz. Are you now doing that full time?
I am doing it mostly full time. You still can't, join on YouTube, but yes, you can become a patron. You'll get extra content and a monthly movie night with me. And so, yeah, that is my main, what I spend most of my time on is my YouTube. And then I also have an editing gig where I put together, some educational and marketing videos, just like some boring company videos for folks. So, but yeah, YouTube is my gig.
I'm gonna say hi to the
Oh,
chat. Everybody's coming in. JT is he is mentioning but after split he had a interview. He interviewed Jeffrey Reddick
oh,
today.
cool.
He is one of
Very
the
cool.
founders of or co-creators of the Final Destination films. So he had him on his show today, and but he's in Los Angeles, and so he's having glitch problems, and he's got a big show tomorrow night too, featuring Carolyn Williams, and now he's worried it's going to happen again. My thing would be is to do a test stream.
Mhm.
I always set up a small room in StreamYard. I set up a small room that I go and I do pre-shows at. So we make sure that the connections work. I
Sure.
always do that. If it's over in Europe and it's someone I don't know, I will ask to do a test run to make sure that their tech is fine. And I think you have to do the same thing with Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know why that is, but he's mentioning that maybe he should record the show, and I'm going like, I don't think you should pre-record it. I don't. Not a show like that, man. You got to go live. People are going to want to ask questions.
You could
They're going to
also
want
do
to.
both, it's gonna be live, and because it's live, it'll automatically be saved onto StreamYard. And if you wanted to, he could cut up something real short to kind of give it some more
Mhm.
personality. But yeah, I get it. Having something live is raw and
Yeah,
rare.
yeah. Live like this is the way to go. I mean, I've done a couple of recordings, but you don't get that energy back. When you're doing it, you don't get that energy of the of the chat. You're watching people. You're talking and you're watching over here. You're seeing people that they're engaging with each other and whatnot. It's you're over there watching the view list go up and down. It's like, okay, I got 3 people watching me. Damn, now I got 10. Yeah. Oh, I got 40. You get that excitement of it.
True.
So
Yeah.
I would try to keep it as live as possible. Just do a test run with them. Just say, hey, can we just do a test run? 5 minutes of your time. Um, if it works, it works. I'm sure it will. Stephen Chang is here. Hello, hello, Stephen. Lady Valerie is in the house. Neon Black is here. Hello, fellow Stardust. That's right. We did not have her. We did not have her do her intro. We should have her do that. We should have her do her intro. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I've never done this before. I really have never done this before, but I really want to hear the intro. I really do.
Sure.
Yeah, hell yeah, let's give it up. Everybody throw up ones in the chat. Throw up ones because come on, because honestly, Rainbow Fright has the best damn intro game going on. There's nobody like yours at all. I mean, there's some that try, there's imitations, but there's only one Rainbow Fright.
Imitations, how sweet.
Look, I could name
uh,
names, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
ah.
Like everybody, yeah, it's like, you know what, you can try. It's like, yeah, all right, that's all right, but it ain't like this. And everybody's sitting there, they want to hear you do the intro. All
Sure.
right, so all right, here we go, kids.
The whole thing or just the beginning? The
Let's do the whole
welcome.
thing. Do the whole thing. Yeah. Do the whole thing with your make versus remake series.
Hopefully, I don't trip up here, even though I pretty much have it memorized. But yeah, so it goes. Welcome, fellow Stardust. Are you ready for a scare?
That's just
I
rock.
see you've come back for more. If you're new here, buckle up. And thank you all for joining me today. My name is DeRae, aka rainbowFRIGHT, lover of all things dark, creepy, and weird. And today we'll be talking about Patrick and Cheetah.
Yes, that's right. That's right. The Cheetah and I and Rainbow Fright, we are here, man. We're gonna have fun tonight. This is what I really like about this show is that we're just gonna have, this is the type of shows I like a lot. It's just to get somebody I know to come on in and sit and just chat. Like you and I were talking about, like, what are we gonna talk about? And I'm going like, what won't we talk about? Um, and of course, I shocked her when I sat there and said, the movie I'm really like, like off the. There's only one other movie I really felt like that this year, and that was a docudrama. I was like super excited to see that, and then it ended up not playing in my area.
Dang
Right?
it.
It's like, yeah, it's gonna get a
Oh,
theatrical release. I'm all hyped up. I'm gonna go get my ticket. I go type up there with a time and a ticket. It's not playing in my area. Ain't that a bitch?
why?
So, but this one here, I'm feeling the same way for it. Um, and that is Heretic.
Yeah.
Man, are you excited as I am for this one?
I mean, yeah, had no idea about it until I saw it in the theaters, a trailer in the theaters for it. I was like, okay, this is different. Hugh Grant in a thriller, horror type movie. Interesting, because he does look creepy when he answers the door. I'm already, frightened by him and his presence. So I'm excited to see what he does with this for
I am
sure.
too. I am too. I have, we're talking about actors playing against type. And like there's some actors that do that. I mean, sometimes they win Oscars for it. I'm excited for this one. Um, I think it's going to be really, really good. And I think what really shocks when people hear me mention it is that yes, I do know that it is an A24 film, but I'm still excited as hell. I'm still jacked for it. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be amazing. I think he's going to do a great job.
I mean, you
And
you are generally a fan of A24, right? I know you like IFC more, but
right. Oh, no, I got 47. I got 47 A24 films in
yeah,
my
okay, okay,
collection.
okay. Yes. You're just saying even if it wasn't an A24 movie, you would still be excited.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant? Oh,
Yes, I
okay.
would be. I would be very excited. But honestly, other than AFC or maybe Neon, I don't see anybody taking a chance. I can't see this movie being released by any of the major studios
Oh yeah.
because of twisting Hugh Grant, especially with a couple of high school kids.
Yeah.
I just can't. They're gonna go like, oh no, we can't do that. No.
And it's interesting too because, I was looking a little bit more into the movie today, and the two girls in the film actually did grow up Mormon. They're not Mormon anymore, but they were able to channel that, and were even still doing research on set just to make sure they were doing everything, proper. So that was interesting to learn.
I had a friend of mine I played football with in high school, and he was a Mormon, and he invited me and another friend of ours, and he invited us to come play on his basketball team. So I played for a Mormon League basketball team for a little while,
All right, there you
for like a
go.
season. Yeah,
Got
yeah,
some
that was
other experience there.
yeah, because you had to, someone blocks your shot. You can't sit there and say, "Well, son of a bitch," you can't do that. You can sit there and say, "Well, what would Joe Smith do in this case?"
A little different atmosphere there.
What was I remember this too. We had a kid who played for us on Legion Ball. He was a football player and he got a scholarship to BYU and he played baseball. And he was really good. And his name was Rodney Thomas. Really sweet kid. Really sweet kid. And he got a scholarship and he went over to Brigham Young. And I remember reading this in Sporting News. And Sporting News, they're talking about the profile of the football team, like how hard it was. And this is in the 80s. And like I think it was like 81, 80, 81. They said how many people are on Brigham Young in the campus that were black. At that time of that article was written, think about this. BYU, you're not that far away from it. Guess how many African Americans were attending BYU like in 81 or 82?
Tell me. Not
35,
many. Yeah.
35.
Not
Hard to have a
many at
social life
all.
there, you know.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
they recruited him. They wanted him to play, and he took up the challenge. He was a pioneer. He was a pioneer, and
That's
he
cool.
played really well. I think he got dinged up. That's why he didn't go pro. But he was a really good player, and like I said, he was a sweet human being. Hi, Sin. How are you? Hi, Betty J. Welcome in. Welcome in. Feel free to share us out if you wish. Um, so one of the things I wanted to talk about is that series you have on your channel. I think is awesome, and that is the make and remake. I think it's one of the coolest things going right now. I've been over there, and I've been listening to your movie reviews as well. Uh, yeah, you didn't know all this. I've been sitting over there, and I've been collecting stardust from.
Leaving your
Uh,
comments and things. I appreciate you so much for
yeah,
that. Yeah.
it's the original. It's the original versus remake, and I'm gonna do one better. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat so you guys can all go over there and check it out. Put it to your watch later list, and then when you get a chance, and when you're tired of hearing me gab, you can go ahead and listen to a real pro go at it. So here's the link for DeRae's remake and original and remake. Um, what got you to think about this? Because what really caught me was the movies that you brought up. A lot of times, because it's like I think that sometimes I think there's a lot of remakes out there, and then I realized that maybe there's not as many as I thought. But I mean, there are. I mean, I see some other, or they call it reimagining, but in effect, there really are remakes.
Yeah.
So, how did you come up with the idea in the movies that you chose for this series?
So it was actually kind of by accident. Really, Terrence McGuana was kind of the one who gave me the idea because a little over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, we did a comparison of the Suspiria movies, the original and remake of Suspiria, and it was a little bit different than what I'm doing now. It was still an edited conversation, but we had a good time doing it. And after we did that one, he had said, to me, hey, that was a lot of fun. Next time, can we do The Haunting? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I just kind of had that on the back burner, and he brought it up again like 8 or 9 months later. I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And, I just had a really good response from everybody with that haunting video. And I was like, okay, people really like this. I might as well try another one. So then I just came up with the list of all of, not all of them, but all the original and remakes that I wanted to talk about. And I would just reach out to folks and just give them three options and say, hey, which of these three movies would you like to talk about as far as the original versus the remake? And so I usually am picking movies that I either really love the original or the remake. Sometimes I'm throwing in options where I've never even seen either one just to kind of see what the person will pick, or if I know that they're going to definitely uh, enjoy Child's Play, like Lady Shasha. I know she's a big Child's Play fan. So I said, hey, Child's Play. I think I maybe gave her one or two other options, but I think she just, obviously grabbed on to Child's Play.
Right, right.
Yeah. So yeah, it was thanks to Terrence, really.
Uh, I'm just scared that I'm just scared that Oops, hold on. Okay, my brother's trying to call in, but I'll take that later.
What's up,
I
brother
don't know.
Patrick?
Yeah, yeah. I have a brother. I have a brother. I thought about that. I'm thinking, wow, this is such a great concept. I just hope to God that she doesn't say, "Hey, you want to do the Cabin Fever and Cabin Fever remake with me?" Because I would just be running for the hills. Because that's like one of the worst remakes ever made. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, Psycho 2, I guess it was, or Psycho. They remade it with Vince Vaughn, and it was just like it was like a shot for shot, and that's what happened
Psycho.
with, well, Psycho. They made it Vince Vaughn. They made it shot for shot, and they did the same thing with Cabin Fever.
Ay,
And
ay, ay.
and neither one, nobody asked. Does it amaze you sometimes? Does it amaze sometimes when you see someone say they're going to make a sequel to a movie, and you go like, nobody asked for it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remake Cabin Fever. Why? Who
I'm
asked for it?
There are some movies where it's like you really just don't need it. And back in the day, I used to be vehemently against remakes, even though there were some that I liked, and there were some remakes that I didn't even know were remakes. But I have since kind of come around to okay, well, if you're going to make the remake, I'll at least watch it. But if it is bad, and if you're making a remake of a film that is a classic, then shame on you. You're not taking anything away from the original. You're not taking away from my experience, but you'll just get a lot of shit from all of us about it. So have at it and we'll see what you can do.
Yeah, Steven says that Eli Roth just wanted to fill some things in. He produced the movie, but he did not direct the movie. Travis Z, a guy named Travis Z, he directed it.
Mhm.
And Yeah, that was just a really poor call right there. Obviously he sold it to somebody to remake it, but it wasn't a good idea. Um, it's just like it. That was interesting. Some people just, I don't know. I think sometimes I think they say, well, I got a really good idea. And the idea, they don't really think it out, or they don't have a focus group or anything. They just like, I want to do this. And so I am going to do this. And it's like, but, I know that sometimes they will take a movie and they will show it to people like a test run. Like, okay, here, like I guess they did that with Blade. Uh, they ran Blade out there, and they wanted to see what they thought of the early makes. Like, what do you think? Are we on the right track or not? and everybody said no. So they had to go back. They had to go back, and that's when it stalled out because it
No.
wasn't generating anything from anybody. And there was no like, I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Dang
Um,
it.
so you do now, do you just do this now? Now the concept is you find the people to come up here with you. How do you pick, or how do you decide who you're going to have on to talk about the movie you're going to be featuring?
Um, so typically, well, because I basically run my channel, full time and I'm basically running it like a business because, it's supposed to be making money and all of that. So I do try to pick folks who I'm friends with first and foremost and who I, like their content and things like that, but also just folks who I feel like who kind of run their channel as a business as well a little bit and are into originals and remakes as well. But mostly friends who I've worked with before and friends who I haven't been able to work with yet. So yeah, and just folks that I feel comfortable with usually get asked more than once. So yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes those friends who get asked more than once have, like, shortcomings, and they bail because they don't want to be they don't want to be the cog in the road to mess everything up.
Yeah, you definitely have said yes and then backed out
I,
and weren't a
I
part of
just
my
didn't.
production like you were supposed to be. So
I was scared. I was scared I would ruin it.
no, you wouldn't
You
have
could talk
ruined it.
you can talk to Danny Nightmare, like, when he says, "Yeah, come on," in the cinema squad, and we're like, "Yeah, yeah, just go ahead and send us this, and send us that." And we're like, "Okay, I'm trying to do that, but it's not really going through," because
Uh,
'cause I don't know why
oh,
either. I don't understand. It's like you can break it up in two sections and send it to on email, and it doesn't seem to be happening. To me, it's like, why can't you just send it to? Why can't you just record what you're going to record and then send it through Instagram? It's
well,
like, ping.
next time I ask you to be a part of something, I'll make sure there's no homework involved, just talking.
Just, yeah, just talking. Well, you know what? You know what, Missy? I'm going to go ahead and throw it down right here. You're going to be invited to come over and hang out with us because we have never had a guest on yet, but
Oh, cool.
I think you should be our first guest over on the ISC Midnights.
Woo, yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fun.
I think that then we'll see what's cooking. Um, what's been your favorite one that you've remade so far?
Let's see here. My favorite one that we've talked about so far. Shoot, they've all been really good ones.
They, they
The
really have.
Blob. The Blob is one of my favorite. The remake of The Blob is one of my favorite movies ever. And it's just really cool seeing that upgrade from the 50s version, which was great for its time. The effects in the 50s one is just so much fun because they use miniatures and, perspective and all of that. And then to see the story kind of still be there from the original, but kind of shifted to where we have the woman as the hero. And she's actually kind of, like she is the hero, McCready, not McCready. What's his name? That guy in the first film, the actor's name. But anyways, our lead characters, um, in the remake, we have the two guys, the boyfriends, and they kind of switch because we have the first guy who dies. And you're thinking, oh, okay, these two guys are taking the lead role, but then we end up having um, our homegirl take the lead role. Anyways, I'm forgetting names. Names don't
They did
always
that with
come to me.
they did that with the Night of the Living Dead too.
Yeah.
Remember, it wasn't quite. I don't know if it was quite a dead on a True to Faith remake, but they did have a remake, and Patricia Tallman played the lead role in that. She played the Dwayne Jones part. They switched it
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Now, do you consider that? Do you consider that to disqualify a movie from being considered a remake?
Oh no, not at all. Because what a remake is you're redoing it basically. And in any way that it's changed is up to the director and writers. So, like you were saying too, when they call it a remake, sometimes it's actually just a reimagining. And any kind of remake technically is a reimagining, no matter how close they stay to the story. Um, Unless they're trying to be like Funny Games, which I covered, who's written and directed by the same director, because he initially wanted it to be done or shot in America in English, but had to settle for Austria. But then 10 years later was able to get the money to shoot in America. So that's a little bit different, but it almost was to me just it's not a waste. I almost want to say it was a waste, but I wish he would have just waited to make the film in America, but he never knew if he was going to ever make it. So I guess,
Right.
you know, he
He
did what
he
he
just wanted
had
to
to
get his
do.
movie made. He just wanted to
Hmm.
get it done. Uh,
Yeah.
it's interesting because now that you throw the word reimagine, it does change the perspective of it. Now it seems like because you're thinking about a remake, it seems like it's a narrow walkway. But when you add on the reimagining to it, now the possibilities expand.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
probably why we get a lot of Sherlock Holmes and a lot of King Arthur movies when no one's ever asking for it. Um, but,
Yes,
but,
this
but we're
is
gonna
true.
but we have a different take on it. I'm sure you do, but no one still asked for another King Arthur movie.
Oh
Um,
man.
so yeah, I'm looking at the list and I'm thinking of all the movies out there now that I'm thinking that man that you could sink your teeth into.
Yes.
Man, how many movies? How many movies of your series where it's been the original that you've liked more than the remake?
The original that I liked more, let's see. One, two, three,
I definitely
four.
know you like the. I definitely know you like the Stepwives.
Okay, so yeah, I'll say which ones. The Blob for sure. I liked the remake more. The Thing was pretty even. The Thing, the original
Oh,
Thing was good.
that's
Uh,
heavy.
Child's Play, definitely the original. Stepford Wives, that one's actually pretty even too because they're so very different. One's a black comedy and the other one is not. And even though it
Yeah,
should have been.
the other one's a '70s movie. There's no.
Pet Cemetery, definitely the original. Funny Games, the original. Halloween, I did pick Rob Zombie's Halloween over the original, but that's just because I like Rob Zombie's movies more, and I saw Halloween more as an adult, like a later adult or later child, so I didn't have that emotional pool. House of Wax, man. Now, House of Wax, actually, I haven't released that video yet, so I won't tell you yet.
I'm really curious about that. I'm
Ooh, that's
really,
a good
oh
one.
wow, that's gonna be a good one to cover. Okay,
Hmm.
so my thing about that movie, my thing about the House of Wax, and maybe you can share this if you feel like it, but man, I remember that movie came out and Paris Hilton was still a thing, right?
Yeah.
They gave her a movie. They're going to try to get her into movies, and her kill in that movie is absolutely one. I was surprised that it came from a major studio.
Yeah.
I was surprised they allowed that kill. I'm like, not very many times do a major studio let that go through, but they did, and it was absolutely brutal. And people were cheering because they didn't like her. It wasn't her
Yeah.
character. They just didn't like Paris Hilton. So there were reports from around the country that when she died that way, that people were really clapping and and cheering for it. And I just thought, I'm not like I said, I'm not a Paris Hilton fan, but Jesus Christ, I mean, that was just you
Hopefully,
know,
they were just clapping because the practical effects were just that great. You
yeah,
see her
yeah,
head sliding down a pole, so
let's
let's
go
hope
with
it was
that.
for that. Yeah. Because, yeah, I mean, it wasn't her fault. The sex tape was put out not, because she wanted it to be put out. And she was basically a child. She was like in her early 20s. And the guy who she
Yeah,
had sex with, who put the tape out, was like in his late 40s. So she was a victim,
yeah,
but people still hated her because she was a spoiled brat, which could be understandably annoying. She had
sure.
nothing to do but had a lot of money, you know?
Sure, I get that, but I still wouldn't have cheered, and we're not talking like like when a bad guy gets it, it's like, yeah, like when Liam Neeson goes in there and shoots that Sheik. Okay, yeah, we're all clapping for that because it's a good guy versus bad guy. But it was just her.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch the
Rude.
movie now, her character was not her character was actually very sweet.
Yeah, she
you
was.
know, or she was playing against a type, right? But no, I believe she was very sweet in that movie, and yeah, that was rough. I was like, wow, that's brutal. Hi,
Yeah.
Professor, how are you? Hello, Ant Man, how are you? Ant Man says, that's Hollywood for you, Hove. Yeah. And Cheryl saying hello to you as well. Hello, Rainbow. Uh,
Hi.
let's see. And Sin saying gasp of zombies of Halloween versus the OG, grabbing her heart. I need a moment. Well, if it helps any, I'm with Rainbow on that. I'm with Rainbow.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
I'm I'm with you. I know I got to be careful though because I don't want to get killed by the general.
Yeah.
I don't want her to go from Lady Valerie to the general on my ass. But I'm
That's
not
not
a
to
big
say
fan.
that I don't like the original, that the original
I,
isn't good.
I don't know.
You know?
Yeah, but you know what? Here's one thing too: is Halloween the OG? Is it a slasher film or is it just a thriller?
Sure. I can see why you would ask that. Because, yeah, we don't really see too many kills on camera. We see him
No.
stab Homeboy into the wall, kind of, but not really. And he's choking Homegirl in the car. We don't really see Linda's kill. So I get it. But yeah, I think that was just the lack of money and effects. So, but if they had it, you probably would have seen a lot more blood. But yeah.
I still think the funny thing about that whole movie, it still makes me laugh is that Dr. Loomis put 6 in the chest, right? Good shot too. The doc was a shot. He put 6 in the chest, and he gets up and walks away like, yeah, okay, thanks. But Lori pokes him in the eye with a coat hanger, and it's like, holy cow, it's like, I
That
just,
right
I just
angle,
it,
boy.
it never makes me. It always makes me laugh when I see that scene. I'm like, oh, that hurt, but 6 bullets in your chest, that's all right.
Ay, ay, ay.
uh, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that though, about the tightness, because this is an interesting subject and worthy of us to chat about. So we're talking about the Hugh Grant movie, Heretic, which is coming out on the 8th. I think they moved it up a week. I think it was supposed to come out on the 15th, but they moved it up to the
Mm.
8th because the anticipation for it. Which
Nice.
I'm with it. I'm so curious about this.
Yeah.
Um, it is. I'm actually, I saw X, and that one had Brittany Snow was in it, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I know the characters that Brittany Snow generally play, and what the characters she plays. I mean, her name Brittany Snow is to say it all, right? She's a clean, wholesome type actress. You see her in a lot of like Pitch Perfect and whatnot.
We
But when
also
you
had
see her,
her in Would You Rather, though, which is another one of my absolute favorites. It's crazy to
um,
see her in that one.
isn't that something when you see an actress go or actor go against type huge like that? Like here she is,
Mhm.
she's cursing up a storm, she's naked, she's smoking on camera. I mean, everything that you don't know that Brittany Snow can do. It's like I've never seen her do that, and it's sort of jarring a little bit as a fan. You're seeing her and you go like, wow, I've never seen her act like this before. And I guess some people are sometimes people are comfortable with that, like, okay, she's spreading her creative wings. But then you got other people who really get burned out by that. They really get bummed out, like, wow, that's her, that's what she's doing now. I'm not into that. Um, I mean, you've heard that. You've heard people comment about that. Hell, we see that all the time in our community.
Yeah.
People complaining about casting but what was the first time you ever saw a favorite actor go against what they do? Like like James Earl Jones, like when he was Darth Vader. Here he is, Darth Vader, and next thing we saw like for me, I saw him as played Darth Vader, and I'm thinking that's a sci-fi guy, it's Darth Vader, and that's all I know him as. And then next thing you know, then he's doing Conan, and he's playing the villain, and then I'm going like, that's different. He's a villain, but not this kind of villain. Not this kind of viciousness.
Yeah.
Not on camera. I mean, you can actually see his face and his emotions. Which made it somehow more impactful than wearing a mask. Take her away. Yeah. Oh, all you see is just a mask. You don't see that. You don't. And it's a robotic voice. Conan, you can see the emotion. You can see his anger. You can see, and it was different It was different. But what was one of some of the movies or some of the actors that you watched that you saw some of your favorites go against type?
Okay. So I was just trying to think here and looking some stuff up real quick because off the top of my head, it's a bit difficult. But maybe once I keep talking, I'll actually have better responses here. They'll come to me. But Robin
I can help
Williams
out
was
while you do that. I can help
okay.
out. I mean, some of the ones that really jumped out at me was I really think that I remember the first time I saw that was actually twice this happened, but King Kong. So Robert Klein played the promoter, right? He played the
Okay.
promoter.
Okay.
He played the Jack Black character in the remake. So in the Kong 76 and Kong, hey, did I just come up with an idea? Maybe maybe I would be the one on the road. Um, but both roles were played by actors that you would have never expected because Robert Klein was known as a comedian at that time. He
Mhm.
did all the talk shows. He was a stand-up comedian. He was sort of like a racketeer. Um, he went around and but that's what he was known for. Like he would just go out there. His humor was really dry, but he's a very funny guy, and that's what he was known for. But he played the promoter, the guy who was trying to capture the King Kong, and he was not a nice guy. And Yeah, and King Kong didn't think so either. Uh, and I remember watching that and being like saying, I remember seeing him on Johnny Carson. I mean, Robert Klein was on Johnny Carson all the time. He was a very popular guest. And then he comes out and he plays this bad guy role. And I'm like, I was blown away because I was like, wow, that's different. Um, and then Jack Black did the same role for Peter Jackson. He came out there and he played it straight. He didn't do his Jack Black. He didn't do it at all. He was straight. No funny business. No comedy. No, Jack Black is none of that.
Yeah.
None of the improv. He played the promoter dead on serious, and I thought he was outstanding myself.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen any of the King Kong movies, but I do remember liking Jack Black's performance in that one because for a while he just kind of irritated me as an actor, kind of similar to Chris Farley, who I never warmed up to, but Jack Black I've definitely come to appreciate a little bit more. But yeah, that's a good example.
Sin commented about it. It's Charles Grodin. Thank you for that. It's Charles Grodin. But I will say this: Grodin and Klein, they could have been brothers. They really could have. You go back and watch them do their stand up. They could be brothers. But it was still Charles Grodin. Again, he was known more as a comedian.
Yeah.
That's what he was known for. So we got tossed in that serious role. Um, People just were. I think they just weren't ready for that. I think a lot of people were going like, that's so interesting. Um,
I'm coming up with old examples here, but maybe newer ones will come to mind. But Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo was kind of interesting to see because I grew up with him, in
mm,
all of my kid movies. And then even though this one's kind of more of a comedy, Jim Carrey and the Cable Guy, seeing him just be a clown, suddenly be this psychopath was it wasn't a huge leap for me, but it was a different role as a kid, watching that happen. And let's see here. Another one would be Matt Damon in The Talented Mr. Ripley. That
oh
was
yeah. Yeah,
interesting to
nobody.
see
Oh
him.
my gosh, I remember that when it came out, and the thing is, the people remember the people remember the comments from people like they were so surprised to see that because he played such a nice guy. He's always a nice guy,
Yeah.
From his, he started under Courage Under Fire, and then he always, after that, he always played the nice guy. And that's another one that sort of went against type too, was down with Meg Ryan in Courage Under Fire. I mean, she was known as America's sweetheart, and yet here she is. She's playing a combat helicopter pilot, and her language and her demeanor. I mean, you can see people stand up and sit up straight in the theater, because this is not the Meg Ryan they know. This is like, she was rough. I mean, she was a really good strong role. It just makes you stand up. It makes you remember. And Denzel Washington was the same way. He's
Yes,
always
Training
playing. He was
Day.
always playing the hero, and then in that movie,
Yes.
also we find out that he has flaws. And
Yeah, I love that movie.
yeah, he
Ugh,
that's a great movie. That's a
so
great
good.
movie. Yeah, and so and it always seems to be too. It always seems to be like, this is a common thing. We always see that comics seem to make the transition better. Like, as far as, well, who can we get to play this role that's funny or serious? And a lot of times you see comics roll over and do the dramatics, but you don't really see it the other way back. Um, why do you think? What I mean, in your opinion, why do you think it is so hard for good, dramatic actors? Why is it so hard, do you feel, for them to go ahead and do like comedy? That like
I think because comedy is very difficult. Comedy is hard, hard, hard to do. You have to have, impeccable timing. And so I feel like when people start going to horror, I don't want to say just like drama, but I don't know the career of Brittany Snow, but just as an example, I think sometimes people maybe start gravitating toward horror and things because maybe they're careers aren't doing what they thought they would. And so they're like, okay, sure, let's hop into horror and see what that's like. Because it's kind of like back in the day, people started their careers in horror, and then once they quote unquote made it in Hollywood, they kind of leave it behind. But horror is now becoming more respected. We're making a whole lot of remakes. We're telling a lot of the same stories. And so we're now needing to get more creative with our storytelling. And like we mentioned before, we've got Hugh Grant and other, familiar actors who would have technically aged out by now but are coming back, and they're coming back in the horror genre because we will welcome them with open arms. A24, they've been doing this, since almost the beginning of them, bringing in Hollywood actors into these independent films just to kind of give it that polish, because they still want the independent feel of the movies that they're distributing and sometimes producing. But they also just want to have it be a little bit more respected and have more eyes on it too, because we have a well-known actor in there. So as far as going, from horror to comedy or comedy to horror. I think it depends on each person and where their career is going. But
yeah.
I feel like, it's maybe not as fun going back and forth. You kind of want to stick to maybe what feels right for you, and what comes easy to you. But yeah.
I think the one movie I've been binge watching. I mean, I'm always fascinated by it too. It really fascinates me. Like, I remember when they announced that Kevin James was going to be doing Becky, or maybe it was Becky. Yes, I
Yes.
was floored. I was like, Kevin
That's a
James
good
is like,
example. That's one where I was definitely taken aback because I'm a huge King of Queens fan.
yeah,
Brandon was actually Doug Heffernan on Saturday. Love that show. And so Becky was a huge surprise to me. I didn't think I would like that. Wrath of Becky is almost equally as good, definitely better, the first one, but they rival each other. 'Cause then we've got Sean Patrick Harris, I believe is his name, in that other one. But yeah, Kevin James, that was a huge surprise to see. And he did it perfectly. He was
I was,
awesome.
yeah, I was surprised when he agreed to do that. Playing a
Oh, sorry,
oof,
but that's as an example. because, he kept trying to do comedies after King of Queens, but nothing was as successful as King of Queens. He did Paul Blart and a bunch of other stuff. And so I think he was an example of like, yeah, well, I guess nobody finds me funny anymore. I guess I'll try my dark side and see how that goes. you
Right.
know?
Of course, he shot himself in the foot though when he came back and he tried to remake the King of Queens, but with a different actress.
What the
And then
hell was that?
uh,
yeah.
I was so disappointed. They wrote out the character, the actress who wrote it, killed her off, gave her cancer and killed her off, and then brought back Leah Remini.
Yeah.
Boy, you could not that you know what? You could not hit the button fast enough for people. They were
Woo.
done with that. Yeah, that was
That was
I
weird and dumb.
uh, I'm actually watching it for the very first time. I've never watched it before.
The King of Queens?
Yeah, never seen it.
Oh,
I'm binge watching it now.
it's so
So
freaking good.
and I'm sitting there listening. And that's what I'm thinking about when I was thinking about the because I saw him in with Adam Sandler in Grown Ups, and he was
Yeah.
fantastic in that. He had me crying in that. But I had never seen the King of Queens, and I'm watching it. I'm going like, wow, he's all right. He's got some chops. And then I
Yeah.
and then he did the Wrath of Becky, and I was just like, oh, who would have ever whoever casted him in that role? I want to shake their hand. Yes.
Yes.
Uh,
So,
uh,
like,
um,
yeah, it makes sense for him to go back and do more horror. It wouldn't make sense for him to then come around and do a comedy. He did really well in that, and somebody else will hopefully cast him in a similar or even more challenging role.
there's a lot, then they don't have to be just comics too. I mean, we're talking about we're talking about, young actors like Matt Damon uh and Denzel, going against type two. And there's been others that have done a lot of horror. Patrick Dempsey, Dermot Mulroney. I mean, you just don't, they're not known for horror films, but yet there they are. They're rolling in them, and they're kicking ass. And to me, the worst thing about an actor on that level is you're always scared that they're gonna have an Al Pacino moment. They're
Mhm.
gonna sit there and just chew grass. They're not gonna take it seriously. They're just gonna go in there and
Yeah.
just like, oh, I'm in a horror movie. Well, this is some bullshit. I don't necessarily don't want to be here, so I'm gonna ham it up. But for the very most part, the bigger stars, they're rolling in it. They're putting their teeth in it and going with it. Which is one of the big reasons why I'm so anxious to see Grant, because it's gonna be a thin line, because he could make it campy. He could actually see him going like, not taking it seriously, but at the same time, if he comes in there and he nails it, why not an Oscar nomination for that?
Yeah.
Because to me, if he pulls this off, he deserves one. If this movie is as good as I think it's going to be, he'll deserve one.
Yeah.
Let me go back to the chat real quick, because they are flying here. Professor says, do you feel well-known actors make the jump to horror movies now because they can sell them on the whole elevated horror shtick? That is A24. That's an A24 question. We'll let DeRae answer that. So they feel it's not the schlocky, gory genre that's beneath them. Do you think that?
Um,
What do you think of the term elevated horror?
um, so I think, it is they just chose the wrong word, first of all. They just needed to keep it as modern horror, but I get that they were trying to really categorize it because basically all it really says to me is that it's um just got a complicated story sometimes, or you may not understand the meaning the first time. It doesn't make it smart horror, it doesn't make it intelligent horror. It just makes it something different because, again, like we said earlier, every story has already been told. We've had so many remakes. Every movie is a version of something else that we already saw, and some of these filmmakers are getting inspired by other filmmakers and don't even realize they're being influenced when they're creating their art. And so, yeah, with A24, they're kind of like them and IFC and Neon, or the parents of elevated horror or whatever, but they're really, I think, utilizing these well-known actors to basically subvert expectation and to not, because you don't know what you're getting a lot of times with these movies. And so, like you said, it's a fresh take for these actors. It's fresh for us and it's fresh for them because a lot of times too, they might have had a career where now they want to do something different. They are not necessarily fulfilled in one way or another. And these elevated films might feel to them more artistic in what they're doing and how they're having to prepare for them or whatever. And it just shows that, like, we don't have to keep with the norm and that we can switch things up. But yeah, because IFC and A24, they don't want to become, a Lionsgate and look like those movies. They want to keep looking how they're looking, but still be held in a high regard as those other films. So they were using those actors from that world to kind of bridge that gap between us indie lovers and the only Hollywood film lovers.
Um, Ant-Man says here, he says, I very much do feel, I do very much feel like comic actors can expand into any genres if they have the right chops for it. I'm with you. I really do. Anybody, anytime there's a comic out there that wants to do drama, I think they can
Yeah,
do it. I mean, look at Vince
sure.
Vaughn. Now, Vince Vaughn got critically, roasted over Psycho. But if you go back, if you just go there and just think about it for a minute, it's Vince Vaughn doing that. It's not. He's not a dramatic actor. He's an improvised comedy guy, and yet here he is. But I saw him when I first time I saw him do a serious role. He did a role with, and he did it, and they talk about against type, but also against a role, because at that
Mhm.
time he had done Swingers, and he was really well received, and everybody liked him. And then he did a movie called Domestic Disturbance, where he went against John Travolta, who was known as a heavy back then. He had done
Yeah.
Broken Arrow. He had done some other things that he was the bad guy, Swordfish, whatnot, and they switched characters where then John Travolta was the good guy and Vince Vaughn was not. And it really grabbed you. You watched the movie, you watched
Mhm.
it because they're playing against each other in the
Yeah.
roles and the type. It's an okay movie, but if you go back and rewatch it, and see Vince Vaughn, and you can see the menace in his eyes. I mean, that's when you sit there going, wow, if that guy ever got a serious role, he would crush it. He would crush it. I don't know. But I don't know if he could. I don't know if he's able to give up that the improv that he's known for. I mean, that guy.
Which
That's
might
all he
not
does.
hurt to have in horror too, because yeah, while there's not a whole lot of improv in horror, it could bring something new to the table. You never know.
Let's see. It said Ant-Man said, very much do feel like comic actors can expand any genre. Yep. Charlie Day, prior to doing It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, actually starred in an anthology horror film called Campfire Stories.
Nice.
And Charlie Day also did Pacific Rim, which is a tremendously big favorite. The professor mentions old school actors like Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, Vincent Price, and Boris Karloff. You know, so I just really started getting. I'm just really starting to get into the Hammer films. I cannot believe how many movies that Peter Cushing's in, and he's a good guy. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought he was. I thought he was like, like Tarkin, in Star Wars, but he's actually a good guy in all these movies. Who knew? The Yes, that's right. Yeah, he did the Pacific Rim. He did the second one where he was evil. Yeah, but that's because he got his brain corrupted. I think any actor can break the mold. They're stuck in the right script, and the director are there to help and guide them to a killer performance, like Kristen Stewart, Vince Vaughn, and Kevin James. Um, wow, that's another subject too. Let's talk about this one. So we were talking about, and this has really gotten in my brain lately, and I'm glad you're here for this one. So it's really gotten to my brain that we always see these young actresses come up, Jennifer Stewart, the young lady, the Dario. Um, I'm just thinking of some other ones. The girl played
Anya Taylor Joy.
yeah, the girl played in oh God, Amanda Seyfried. Uh,
Okay.
let's see.
Emma Stone.
Yeah, what's going on? It seems like a lot of these actresses that are coming out, they're being asked like they come out. Alexandria's come out, and you see them come out, and they're known for not only for their acting, but they have great figures. And for some reason, it really feels like there's a real pressure on to get these actresses to do nude scenes, like just for the sake, even if it's just one time, but they feel like they have to have it happen. Like,
Yeah.
Alexandra Daddario had never done a nude scene. She did one for detective, True Detectives, and everybody talked about that. Not the show, but her doing it. Jennifer Stewart did it for, Jennifer Lawrence did it for Sparrow. Not needed.
Yeah.
It not need exploitation. It's
Yeah, I do hope we will pull away from that here soon, with the whole Weinstein stuff coming out, with the P. Diddy stuff coming out. It'll be a super gradual change, 50 to 100 years. Hopefully that won't be, needed and expected, but there are actors, men and women and everybody else who want to show their bodies, and artists, that filmmakers and directors who want to show that kind of stuff, and that's fine, just get the right actors for that. But yeah, a lot of these actresses, these women, are putting their bodies on display when they don't want to. Sure, some of them do, but they are agreeing to it just because they think it's going to get them a little bit ahead. And that's always sad and unfortunate, because yeah, that girl from, I guess, Game of Thrones, like, that's one big one where I
yeah,
hear she just really regrets that
yeah,
big time.
Amelia
And that's,
Clarke.
yeah, sad as hell. Now it's out there forever, and she doesn't want it to be, but hopefully
And the other
that,
one,
yeah,
it's
changes.
sort of weird. It's like the other, I know there's some actresses that, they're comfortable doing it, like Lena Headey. She's done a lot of new scenes in her career, but that's her. That's her.
Hmm.
But it just seems like every time there's a young, fresh girl coming up, a woman coming up onto the, just getting to know them, getting
Yeah.
to know who they are and their acting work, and next thing you know, there seems to be a tremendously huge pressure to get them to do a nude scene.
Yeah, it's
And it's
disgusting,
just like,
really, because they're
it just,
young. It's just a bunch of pedophilic behavior. It's so frustrating, you
it is
know?
frustrating. I was watching Red Sparrow. I had no idea because Jennifer Lawrence. I didn't think she ever did a nude scene. And next thing you know, there she's doing the scene. And I'm going like, well, you know what? Okay, so she's doing it, but you know what? It's not needed. It didn't advance the story one iota.
No, no.
It's
Mm-mm.
like, I know people say, well, it advanced the story. Believe me, watching Alexander Daddario, do a news scene on a TV show is not important. It's not important. You don't need that to move your
Agreed.
story.
Yeah.
I'm to the point now, and tell me if you feel the same way. I'm to the point now where I feel like when I see that kind of overt sexual, on a show, honest to God, DeRae, I feel like it's just a sign of lazy writing. I truly do. I just look at it like, okay, they need to do this because they're not smart enough to come up with something else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because, you're, I guess, in showing sex, trying to show how much they love each other and how connected they are, but there are definitely different ways to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, sex isn't always that for people either. That doesn't always mean connection and love for them. So you're doing it wrong still, you
It
know?
feels like to me, our, storytelling in movies today, they're, they're, I think they're stilting the movie watching experience in that sense. It's like, you know, you go to movies, and movies are one thing that people go to and watch, and TV shows are they go to and watch. And to me, it helps develop imagination. It helps develop, thinking like, developing appreciation of different genres of storytelling. because Lord knows we don't read it. We don't read very much. Um, so sometimes people watch TV, and if you just show really short, really short, scenes or choppy scenes, or they don't really expand themselves, they don't explain themselves, they don't let the audience like think for themselves. I don't know. I feel like in some respects, especially on the dramatic side, I feel like we've taken a big step backwards
As far as
as far. Yeah, I
storytelling in
mean,
movies.
yeah. I don't, before, like, you could show two people going, you could show two people going out, or going upstairs, and maybe see the shadow with them holding their hands. You know
Yeah.
what's happening. You don't need to see it,
Yeah.
especially not in an exploitive way. If it actually fits the story, okay. But come on, telling me having Emilia Clarke naked on Game of Thrones, how the hell did that? How the hell did it advance the story? Uh,
Right. It
yeah.
didn't.
Let's see. Professor says a story old as time. There's always um, there's always that slimy producer that just wants to see an actress or even some actors naked. You're absolutely right, Professor. You're absolutely
Mm.
right. That's how I feel now. Like, I feel like any minute now we're going to see that with Jenna Ortega, or an actress like that,
I
or
think she'll
Ariana
be able to
Grande.
say no. I think she's in a position right now, and that's only because she busted out with Wednesday Scream, and I think one other thing. But because of that, I think she'll be able to be like, nah, I'm good. Thank you,
Yeah,
but no, thank you.
it's surprising because you're looking at it, or looking at Jennifer Lawrence. She's an Oscar winner,
Right?
and
Yeah,
still,
this is
yeah, she
true.
still got to do it. So
Yeah.
I mean, if she's still
And I
being
feel
put
like
in
it
that
was
position,
right it was right before Weinstein and all that came out, right? That's when she got her Oscar.
yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping that, like, even though there is still some shady shit going down everywhere, I feel like they just have to have a shift. They have to. They're coming out with stuff, y'all. Stop
So what
forcing people.
now? How do you think the world of horror is doing now? Like this, everybody's been talking this year about how well horror is doing. I mean, it's been, me
Yeah.
speaking to me as an ISC fan. I'm happy. I'm happy because we definitely kicked A24's ass this year. This is
Yes,
our year.
this year has been awesome just for horror films in general, especially just compared to last year.
Yeah,
It's been awesome. We've had a wide range of movies, even though a few have come out that were similar. Like we had two Spider movies, two immaculate movies, essentially. But that's okay because they were both different. Those films were different from each other. And I still have a lot more to catch up on. But yeah, we had stuff in just every kind of different genre and just different perspectives and new, fresh ideas, I think. So it's been exciting.
well, speaking of that, going back real quick, speaking about, young actresses being basically, we got to see your body at least once. How long do you think Sydney Sweeney will hold out?
Oh, she's ready to bust out right now. She wants it. She is ready and
Do
waiting for it.
you
She's
think?
so in love with her tits, and she's always trying to show them off. Like she was on SNL asking them to write jokes about her tits. Like she was
Oh,
begging them, please
okay.
say something about it. So she don't give a damn.
Because I mean, I think she's the freshest one that's come out, and we're like, yeah, it's just a matter of time before they get off her, and someone's gonna put a camera on her or
She's
whatnot.
asking them right now, when do I get to show my breasts?
Oh, oh my lord, you'll have how do you think she is as an actress?
Um, so I only saw her in Immaculate and she was fine. I feel like the direction on that one was a little off because, I felt like, why did she react so soon and why is she facing that way? So I think a little bit of directing was at fault for some of those negative thoughts I had, but she was fine on SNL. She had good comedic timing. So yeah, she's fine.
Now, so back to our question about the year in horror. Um, Man, it's been pretty amazing for the most part, right?
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
there's I just watched Late Night with the Devil.
Oh, yep, that's at the top of my list for sure.
What a awesome movie that was.
Loved
I
it.
I said, if I had a phone number, I'd be sitting there going like, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Uh, I would be sitting there going, hell yeah. Great movie though, right?
So good. Even though
Uh,
the ending took that sharp left turn, I didn't mind it. It
I
worked
didn't
for
either.
me.
It made perfect sense to me. It made absolutely perfect sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was imaginative. It was original. Man, that's a cool ass movie. I was so proud. I was like,
Oh.
this is what I've been telling people about. This is what you see with these movies. Nobody ever takes a look at that. Now go back there and look at that catalog of movies that they put out. They've been doing this for a very long time, very long
Mhm.
time. But I'm also very, like I said, I'm also very excited for. Speaking of that, the director for Skin of Marenic, another one of our favorites, right?
I do like it. I don't
I do
hate it
too.
like the world wants
I
me
know
to
what's
hate
up
it,
with that.
but
I think it's Hey Jerry, how are you? Oh, sorry. Let me see what the professor says here. Wow. Let's see.
he's writing
Everybody knows
paragraphs.
me. Yeah, yeah. Everybody knows me and my fascination with certain aspects of horror movies. Uh, but you can really tell when someone is earned when something is earned story wise, as opposed to nudity that's exploitation. Yeah, you can definitely tell
Mhm.
when it's exploitative. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. I personally love that horror movies have gotten a resurgence and that more widely accepted and are getting more
Yes.
movies than ever before. Is it safe to say that the Terrifier movies are a game changer for horror? Not just an aberration, but a game changer? Like, it's not going to be like, these three movies came out and then it's going to go back to the status quo. But now, when we see horror, we're going to see more of this type of level of gore uh, uh, as a natural. That's what we're going to be seeing at the theater. It's not going to be as shocking. Or do you think it's just a? Do you think it's just Terrifier herself?
Well, I think, the type of movie that Terrifier is a very specific type of movie. And y- and those usually aren't in the theater, and we've got them in the theater, which is just new for us. And so I think we will get more directors and writers creating more movies like Terrifier. And I think, yeah, we'll be seeing them more in the theaters, but I still think we'll have everything else. We'll still have, like, a slasher that'll look more like Halloween 1978 with very little blood or whatever. But then we'll also have our Terrifier slashers. Like, slasher is too nice of a word for the Terrifier movies. But yeah, it's definitely pushed things forward. And, we had In a Violent Nature. Which isn't exactly like Terrifier, but we kind of went that direction with the blood and guts. And then we've had The Sadness and When Evil Lurks. Very different stories and things, but giving us the same kind of gore and horror. Um, yeah, back in 2004, we got Saw and Hostel, and that was kind of just like our beginnings, because we all always had video nasties, right? But having it be more mainstream, I think, is what the shift is doing right now, which is great, which is cool. There will
Yeah,
always be the haters. People will not understand why people love blood and guts, but that's okay. They don't have to understand it, but it'll still be available, just like marijuana and now alcohol is available in every corner. We'll get our blood and guts at every theater when we want to very soon. So, yeah.
it does seem like more than ever before that it seems like more than ever before the fans, the audiences are really the ones pulling the strings. I mean, if your movie comes out and it's not very good, they are truly avoiding it. And you are taking a beating.
Yeah.
Like Joker 2. Um, you know, I mean, nobody wanted to see that. Nobody wanted to see like Bo was afraid. I mean, just throwing that out there, even though people say it was a good film, but everyone but it was hyped up though, right? It was like
Yeah.
it got the hype, and then people came out there and going like, like what the hell? Hell no. It's the same thing with the Tom Hanks movie. Have you been seeing that? The movie Here. It
Oh,
was
wait,
a
wait.
conceptual film by Robert Zemeckis. So,
Okay.
and it is getting roasted. It's not supposed to come out till next Friday, but it is getting pounded critically. People
Damn.
who saw the movie early, they have just said it's terrible. What movie have you seen that has gone against the grain as far as that goes? Like everybody says that like Joker 2 has just been terrible. What movie has impressed you? Because I do trust your voice, and I do know there are some people out there that will sit there and say they like a movie that everybody hates just to stand out, and just because, because that's how, you know. Well, I liked it. Well, okay, well, no, who cares? You know, but because you just know they're saying it for the attention. They're not saying it because they really
Sure.
believe it. So, what movie have you seen this year that people really seem to get on, get off on it as far as trying to bury it, but you really enjoyed it? That surprised
Um,
you?
let's see. I'm looking at my 2024 list right now, but right now, the only thing I can think of would be stop motion. I don't hear a whole lot of folks loving stop motion from Shudder.
I haven't seen
Um,
it yet, but let me tell you, when I
okay.
do, I'll be throwing it a lot of love. What about
Good.
Oddity? Oddity looked really cool.
Oh, Oddity's great. Like, haven't heard anybody say anything about it. I actually just recorded a video with a creator named Reanimate Her, and I watched it for that stream. And it came out, yeah, in 2024 on Shudder, and I'm surprised I didn't watch it sooner because, yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I was surprised I didn't see that Late Night with the Devil either. But my library got a copy, and Ben picked it out for us to watch. And we also did When Evil Lurks too. Man,
Mm,
that's a good movie too.
so good when evil lurks.
So different.
I
It's
did
so
I did like in a violent nature, which I didn't think I would, but a lot of people have been hating on that one, and I
Yeah, they said the lack
appreciated
of
the
story. They said the lack of
yeah.
story is what killed it. But they're making
Yeah.
another one so they can go back there and fix it. They can fix the
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, the young director for Skinamarink, he got himself a new movie.
Ooh.
Um, yes, he's going to be making In the Nod, and he's going to be making it for A24.
Oh, hell
And
yeah. That's what's up.
what do you think about what other movies have you seen this year? Well, I guess I should go ask. I mean, you got more than one movie that you like that everybody
Oh,
else
yeah.
hated on?
Hated on, not yet, because I do have a bunch to catch up on, but ones that I was disappointed by, I could tell you real quick. I was totally disappointed by Trap because I love M. Night Shyamalan. Pretty
Me
much
too.
everything that I've watched, I've loved, except for Old, but Old has grown on me. But this one was just too vanilla. I don't mind his PG-13 horror, but this was just too soft. Another one, let's see, that I was kind of disappointed in. Strangers Chapter 1, Tarot, that was a no. And Night
Yeah.
Swim is a no. But some of my favorites, Late Night with the Devil, Stop Motion, The Substance, definitely The Substance is up there. VHS Beyond, Terrifier 3. It's What's Inside is on Netflix. That was released on Netflix a couple weeks ago. That one's a lot of fun. It's You think you know what's gonna happen, like, oh, this is another like talk to me type setup, but it's way different. And I do have Oddity on my top 8 list right now, as well as Infested. Oh wait, so
Have you seen the Coffee Table yet?
no, The Coffee Table. No, I'll write that down.
That's my number one film this year.
Okay, it's horror.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Is it
I did
horror? Oh,
like
yeah.
Civil War too, but you probably don't consider that horror, as well as Twisters.
I was actually surprised. I was like, I have to admit, Civil War was when I heard that was coming out. I have to admit, man, I have to admit that, and I was nervous. I was nervous about it because I was like, man, I
Who's
don't know
got
if
a
we need a
gun?
movie like that. Yeah, I don't know if we need a movie like that right now.
Ugh,
And so
tension.
I was just holding my breath. but then it came out, and both sides were going like, "Yeah, this is weak," and they just, nobody watched it. And I just scored my copy. I just got my copy last week at my library
So it
for a
looks like the
quarter.
coffee table came out 2022, but then also again in 2023. But I guess maybe in the US it came out in
Came out in
2024. Okay.
2024. So if you put
Okay.
it down, if you watch it, it would fall to 2024.
All right, let me type in
But
watch. Awesome.
be careful with that one because it's a yeah it's unpleasant,
All right, it's
but
on
it's
Apple and
really
Prime.
really good. But it's really good.
Perfect.
I Cinephobia. Man, they put out some good movies. They used to be art exploitation, and then the gentleman Ray Murray sold it and he restarted his company, Cinephobia, and he goes around the world and he finds all these movies. The movie, The Coffee Table, is from Spain, so it comes with subtitles. But DeRae, that I watched a lot of movies. What's the last time a movie has gotten you off the chair and headed outside for some fresh air, or got to the maybe take a step or two toward the toilet?
Whew, definitely when evil lurks, the sadness, and then before that, I would say the platform, which I'm excited to see the platform too. I've been needing to watch that for the last 2 weeks, but yeah, the
Yeah,
platform.
the coffee table had me heading toward the bathroom.
Did you make it in time?
I was sitting there. I was waiting for it to happen. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe what I watched." So I watched it, right? I watched the screener, and then I got it sent to me. So I had to rewatch it because for the review, and I'm saying, here I am watching this again. And I'm going like, this
No.
movie this movie is so good. It's the best movie I've seen this year. But man, I
Okay.
hate rewatching it. But it's brutal. I tell people all the time to be very careful with it because it's nothing I've ever seen before. I've never seen a movie like this before.
Only an hour and a half. Good deal. Okay. I can
Yes,
get through it quick.
yeah. And if you do happen to go outside and you feel that queasiness, you can feel free to write me and say, I owe you one, you son of a bitch. So what's
I
coming up on
will.
your channel? What's going on with the rest of 2024? Do you have any can you share any plans on what you want to do for 2025? And what are we going to do another top IFC list on your channel?
Yeah, so I'm just wrapping up my fourth annual Spooktober special. My last video will be uploaded this Thursday on Halloween. Me and Reanimator talked about three of our favorite Shudder originals that you can watch during on Halloween. So yeah, I did a total of like 9 videos for Spooktober. So for November and December, I'm gonna just, take things pretty chill. I've got House of Wax comparison video coming out November 8th, and then the first Friday of December will be Evil Dead, original and remake.
Oh my
But
god,
it's,
that's gonna be a
but
that's gonna be fun to watch.
oh, I love the
Oh my
remake so
god,
much. I love both of those movies so much, but
yeah,
the remake is just a blood fest. It's amazing.
it's so
um,
good.
so yeah, aside from those 2 videos for November and December, still working on my plans for that, but mostly gonna just get prepared for January and yeah, be raring to go for that.
Now, now how long have you been in Colorado now? You've been there for a couple of months, right?
Yeah. No, we've been here for about 2 years now.
Oh,
We
has it
just
been that long?
moved. We just moved houses about a
Oh, that's
month
right,
ago.
that's right, that's right. I got that
Yeah.
right. I got that
Yeah.
wrong. Okay, so how is the new house working out? Any paranormal activities or?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because there are a lot of squeaks and creaks in this house, and it's not very old. But yeah, this was buried on top of a burial ground because this used to
Oh.
be an airport. Now it's a whole ass neighborhood. But before all
Mhm.
of that, it was a Native American burial ground. So there
So
might be something to that.
have you ever seen a movie called Poltergeist?
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause when I'm
Uh,
alone, I'm literally, like, walking through the house like, "Hello? Hello? Like, are you home? Or who's here?" Like, honestly, like, I am
well,
doing
don't
that
you
all
have
the
a cat?
time. No, I used to have, a Shih Tzu, but he passed about almost 2 years ago now. But yeah, no pets right now, even though I crave a pet, but, we're just moving around and things are just not settled just yet, so we just don't have the time for it as much as I want one so bad.
Right, right. Well, I hope that I hope that everything settles down because
Yeah.
when it comes down to burial grounds, cats always seem to be best to go along with that.
Yeah.
They're the best ghost detectors. I can tell you from experience.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
they are.
yeah. What a fun time to talk to you. I'm so glad
Aw,
you came
yeah.
back and hung out. Definitely one of my favorite people on the tube,
Oh.
and it's so much fun to watch your content and see you do guest spots on other channels. Thank you for doing the intro today here on my channel. I can go back there and whenever.
Anytime.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the make and remake. If it's not Cabin Fever, I'm down for it. Whatever you feel like it. I
Okay.
can because I can talk that one. Um,
Sure.
yeah. And then I'll let you know the information, and if you can come over and hang out with us on November 24th. I think it is November 24th. Yeah, for a perfect day.
Okay. I'll let you
I think
guys know for sure.
yeah, that would be cool. We never had a guest on so far, but I would love to have you come on and hang out. Yeah, I
Make
want to
sure
get.
you
I want to
ask
get.
them first.
Well, you know what? I just like to ambush. Uh,
I've noticed that about you.
uh, 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 well, sometimes it really works out well. I had a really good track record of doing that. Believe me, I put together some shows. They have been amazing. Been really amazing. Hey, why don't you come on and hang out with us? Really? Okay. But yes, thank you for coming out. I got all of DeRae's information down in the description box. Um, you go over there and check out her content. She has plenty of playlists there. Grab one, put it on, and listen to it. You don't need to watch it nor to appreciate it. In fact, I think you did one. You did the one with Night Zone. You ran that one as a audio video. Um, yeah, you taped that one. It wasn't. It was a taped. It was like more like a traditional
Yeah, because
podcast.
I uploaded it onto Podbean, and so Podbean threw it back onto YouTube, just with the audio, but I'm having troubles with that, but you can find all of my episodes on any, podcast platform and listen to them there as well, but I hate how YouTube is making it come up as a thumbnail instead of just on my podcast playlist, so I've hidden those on YouTube, but you can find my podcast anywhere where you find podcasts.
And that will be underneath Rainbow Fright.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
did I ever ask you what's the origin of your name? If not, if I did, I don't know, but I'm going to ask you. That's going to be my last question of the night. Is how did the origin of Rainbow Fright and Stardust come about? Are are
Sure.
you are you
So
David Bowie fan?
no, no. I was really just I mean, I do like his music, but that's not has nothing to do with that, and I don't listen to him religiously or anything like that, but I was just really trying to come up with a name, that represented both my bright and dark side. So I had a bunch of different names, and I can't remember all of them, but one of them that I do remember that was on the list, along with Rainbow Fright, was Dark Confetti, and yeah, so I just really wanted to bring these 2 things together because I love wearing black and being in black and all of that, but I do love sometimes just being in a big, bright pink outfit, and a lot of times when I talk about my, favorite movies or scary movies that I love, people are always, like, looking at me like I'm crazy, and they would never guess, so I just
Right.
kinda wanted to have a play on that, and so Dark Confetti was at the top of my list, and Brandon was just like, "Nah, it just doesn't feel right." And so I molded over a little bit more, and Rainbow Fright came to mind because I was thinking obviously of Rainbow Bright. And yeah, it just all came together. And then as far as the Stardust thing, I wanted to address my audience in a certain way, but I didn't want to say like, oh, my following or anything like that. I didn't want to say like, oh, my people. I wanted to say something that was more inclusive and like we're a community and we're all together. And with my ideas and belief that we are actually stardust, we are comprised of water and dust particles. It just made sense to say fellow stardust.
Right.
And it just all made sense to me. It all came together.
It came together perfectly. Uh,
Thanks.
Thank you to the chat who came out and supported this. This is been a lot of fun. I appreciate you for being here. We will be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with Mike Zara. He is a screenwriter and going to be directing his first feature film called Horrified. Mike has been he's done written scripts for a lot of cool TV shows, including The Closer and Major
Cool.
Cases, among others. And he'll be here tomorrow night to talk about his new film that he's working on, Horrified. And then Thanksgiving, we will be here on Halloween. Oh, Thanksgiving, we'll be here on Halloween with actress. Let's see, I always get names wrong. Do you ever have trouble with names?
All the time. Like, not good
It
with
just
them at all.
it just kills me. It's like if it just I'm always waiting for some actor to come up there and say, "Are you that dumb?" But
No, they would never.
I don't know. Listen, I wouldn't blame him. But her name is Kayla. She spelled it wrong. That's right. That's why. But her name's Kayla Maher, and she'll be with us on things on. Oh God, what's wrong with me?
Trying to get ahead.
I know, right? Always get rushed out. But she'll be with us here on Halloween night. So
Cool.
skip passing out the candy and come out hang out with us on the 31st. Thanks so much. DeRae, stay right where you're at for a minute. And to the chat, I'll say goodnight to you right here and goodbye. And thank you so much. The Boneyard should be up and running tonight about 10:30 or so on Mr. Bones' channel. So go over there and hang out with the Boneyard crew about 10:30.
The
Thanks so
winner
much
of
for
my last
watching.
trivia.
Oh, yeah. When's your last trivia? On Halloween,
Mr.
right?
Bones. Oh, no, no. I had one
Oh,
the
he
other
crushed it.
day. Yeah, and he
Oh, he crushed
won.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was on fire. I'm sitting there going like, man, I know a lot, but I don't know like that. And he was just so fast.
So
I mean, he was
fast.
typing. Yeah, he was fast. I was sitting there going like, well, my computer can't keep up. So let me just let me step out of the way, because what's that saying, pinball wizard? I stepped out and handed him my crown. All right, boys and girls, thanks so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.
Oh, yeah. Another good one.
Do you know that there was a movie called Stardust that came out on ISC, right, about David Bowie?
Oh, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. I
Um,
do remember that.
yeah, I still have not watched it yet because I still can't get over the fact they made a movie about David Bowie, but didn't get a song.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nobody wants to hear you talk for 90 minutes about David Bowie without hearing him sing. I just couldn't
It's
understand that.
true.
I'm just, I mean, the only saving grace of that whole movie for me, I would have got the completest. But
Yeah.
the only reason I bought it for sure, I still bought it, was because Jenna Malone was in it.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Oh, she's a great actress.
But did you see Consecration?
No, I didn't. Sorry. Is she in that one too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great one. That's one of my favorites of the year last year.
Oh, last year.
Yeah,
Okay. Good. Okay. I'm not too
but
late.
you can still watch it. It's amazing. And
Consecration. hmm
with her and Danny Houston, that's
Adding
a
it to
great
my
movie.
letterboxed right
Yeah.
now.
Oh my gosh. I would have, if I stayed here and talked to you for 20 minutes, your letterbox would be full.
Yep. It'll never be empty. I've just come to accept that. I'll never reach the end of a watch list. It's not a thing.
It's funny because like I was saying how I'm watching King of Queens, and I'm
Yeah.
watching it, and maybe I shouldn't binge watch it, but I'm in the fourth season right now, and I like Kevin James, but maybe I'm just watching it. Like I said, maybe I'm just watching too many episodes too fast. But man, they were
Yeah, be
not.
careful.
Yeah, they're not that. They're not that. They're. It's a funny show, but like Carrie is so. That character just gets underneath my skin.
I might be here on Thursday. If we end up going to some kind of Halloween something somewhere, I'm gonna be Carrie with Doug
Um,
Heffernan.
I thought
But yeah.
Jerry Stiller was hilarious.
Oh, he's
Um,
perfect in that. Yes. It's kinda like, yeah, when I watch a show, like a reality show, I'll find something that has, like, 10 seasons, and, like, Naked and Afraid is a good example. I watched 10 seasons of Naked and Afraid really quickly, and then they came out with new seasons, but, like, I don't wanna go back because I'm, like, burnt out because I watched too much of it too quickly, you know?
right. I'm
But
gonna take a break after the fourth season for a while
there
because
you go.
I got the whole season for $4 at my library.
Oh, nice. There you go. There you
So
go.
I was like, okay, I had never seen a single episode, so let me go ahead and watch it. And let me, yeah, it's a. I think the one thing I didn't like, and I don't know if you felt the same way. The only thing I would have changed about this show that I watched so far, I didn't like it. They made Deacon and Kelly separate.
Yeah.
I
But
didn't like.
I won't tell you, I guess, what happens
Yeah.
later. But I didn't like that either because I was like, they were definitely supposed to stay together, so she must have had, like, a family emergency or got on a movie or something because why did she just leave? That was dumb.
Oh, what was her name? Shit, that's a real pretty name she had too, and she just
Oh, I
left, huh?
forget. Well,
They
yeah, I don't
wrote
wanna
out
spoil anything, but,
they wrote out a few people on there. They wrote out the guy, the Italian guy that first was there, and they
her
wrote him out.
sister her sister
Yeah,
was in one episode in the pilot, and they took her out.
yeah. They took her out. They took the other guy out, and they had Nicole Sullivan in there. They took her out. I'm
Oh,
like,
she was the best. Oh, I
yeah,
love her. I think they might have
Lou,
replaced her with Lou Ferrigno.
yeah, Lou Ferrigno came out on season 4. He's been hilarious
Oh,
too.
okay.
Um, if you really want to see Nicole Sullivan tear it up, watch her in Scrubs.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah, I never got
she's been,
into
yeah.
Scrubs.
Oh, really? That's a great
No.
show. That's a great show. I think they're going to be bringing it back. I hope. But listen,
That'd be cool.
I'm gonna let you get out of here to enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you
Sure.
so much for being a
Yeah,
guest again,
of
and we'll do it
course.
again sooner than later.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me again. I
And
had a good time as always.
if you can't do the 24th, I understand. But if you
Oh, sure.
can,
I'll let you
that
know.
yeah, let
Yeah.
me know. I think you'll really love the movie.
Okay.
I think you'll
Sounds
really love
good.
it. It's different. It's not it's a horror of a different kind.
Okay. I like that.
So yeah, it's a different. But it's just something I said, yeah, we get you because you know what, we've already reached. I think we're at episode 39.
Wow.
We've been doing it
That's a
once a month
lot.
now. Once a month.
Wow.
And we've been having a hell of a time with it too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right, you're out of here. Me too. And we'll see each other. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah, of course. Have a good evening. Bye,
All right.
Cheetah.